Well, gosh, today we are going to have a chat with the audience. It's not a chat with Pat, it's a chat of Pat with the audience. So I really was trying to think. There's so many things that have been on my mind lately. Yesterday was the feast of Pope Pius X, Saint Pope Pius X, one of my favorite popes, which is kind of weird because I came to him very late in life, understanding him. I came to understand Pius the Tenth through my study of moral theology, because I just saw, and Pope Benedict the 16th talked a lot about relativism. Saint John Paul II wrote about Veritatis Splendor, the splendor of truth. And I thought, okay, somewhere along the line, we went south, in the sense that things started to go a little haywire in our theology. And what was it? So I just how did we get to this very relativistic spot in everything? In my show, The Virtuous Life, we did a whole series on how modernism affected, and now we talk about being in a postmodern age, how it affects everything: art, architecture, music, obviously the moral life. So I really kind of followed that string all the way back. And Pius X, in his encyclical on modernism, says that modernism is the synthesis of all heresies. And as I was listening to a reflection on Pope Pius yesterday, St. Pius X, this individual was talking about how Pius understood that the world, we were coming out of these revolutionary times, right? French Revolution, all these, and it was the rejection of Christendom. So the rejection of Christendom took God out of the center and put man in the center. And that the idea was that we can fix everything ourselves. Now, the encyclical on modernism, it's a tough read, I'll give you that. It is not an easy thing to read, but it is a wealth of information. If it's too hard to read, pull up some articles about it, right, that are written by reputable Catholic scholars. Because I think Pius is right. We got to this place, and it wasn't just updating things. It was really allowing the world to direct the church rather than the church to direct the world. And so when I listened to this flip that this individual was talking about, that we went from Christendom, where we were very Christ-centered, to these revolutions that put humanity at the center, and philosophies that put humanity at the center, then we lost who we were. And so St. John Paul says we are made in the image of God. This is a foundational truth. If we lose that, when you lose God, you don't know who you are. And St. John Paul said that much better than I'm saying it, but it's very true. Who am I? Well, if I'm not an image of God, then I get to make myself. And that's where we're at right now. Instead of understanding that God made me and he endowed me with certain gifts and abilities that are unique to me, and my purpose, my telos in life, my end, is to continue to discern and use those gifts that he gave me to give glory to him, so that in the end I am with him in heaven. This idea of knowing who we are is imperative. Now, I want to tie that, because I think here's the piece, right? I think so many of these heresies that came with modernism that Pope Pius talks about is all about freedom, autonomy. Do whatever you want. Make yourself. There is no, anything from the outside is restrictive. So God is restrictive. God is too limiting. Throw him off, right? Throw him off. All it is rules. But what we don't understand is any of the laws and statutes that God gives us is because of his great love for us. It is, I think we understand this when we know what it is like to love. I think we get so into ourselves, right? So into, this is about me and I'm free and we're not happy. Some of the most miserable people I know are always about that. They're always saying, well, somebody's putting me down and and I'm like, really? Like, let it go. Turn to the Lord. So this is what we have to be about. We need to fall in love with Jesus Christ, because when we love, we don't see those rules as restrictive. We see them as signs of his great love for us so that we have a good life. The parable that we read yesterday in the gospel, to the world that seems unfair. How can people that came in late get the same wages that the people that worked all day? And it was about the generosity of God, right? But the thing is, when you really love the Lord, you want others to love him too. And no matter when they come to him, it is a happy thing. And I am not diminished. My life has not been diminished by living within the rules and the boundaries that the Lord has given me, because I don't see them as oppressive. I see them as acts of love. So I can never be upset by that. So notice what I'm trying to pull together here. Pious, telling us to be careful, to know that we have this thing going on in the world that is trying to pull us into the center and not God. And to know that God is the center. He is the one we love with all of our hearts. And every law, rule, whatever that comes from him is because he knows us and he knows what's good for us. And we will flourish and we will end. Our teleos will be with the Lord. Thanks for listening to this little chat. Hopefully you too will fall in love with the Lord.